Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Well, I gotta ask you, dude.
Yeah.
Completely not prepared.
Yeah.
Behind you, of all the movie posters you could have,
yeah,
behind you for this podcast,
yeah,
you have Halloween 6.
It's one of my favorite movies.
My goodness.
Come on. It's signed by
When we had the reunion.
Yes. So it was, to me, I don't know. So I'm one of those nerds.
Now, are you talking theatrical release?
Well,
or the producer's cut?
Okay. So that's where the story gets deep, because I was a nerd that had a VHS copy of the producer's cut, as grainy as it could be, and I loved the producer's cut more than the theatrical cut, just because I'm going to say it was batshit crazy. It really was. It really, when Michael's fathering a child and you have a cult involved and the man in black and all these things, when I met Mary Ann Hagan, who I met there, in fact, I literally just conversed on Facebook within the last couple of days. I have to tell you, this was like a come to God moment for me, because out of all the movies, this is the one that I was like, man, I like you, and you told me like, oh, we're getting everybody together. And I can remember like, I lost it, because it was a movie to me that was, the timing was right in my life. And I'm a big proponent of when things happen that are in your life, whether it's seeing a movie with your dad, whether it's where you were, who you were with, maybe the circumstance that were happening in your life. And man, that movie just checked all the boxes for me.
Dude, I got a funny story for you.
I love it. If it's about Halloween 6,
it is.
I'm down.
Wait till you hear this one. Back before we did MONSTER-MANIA, all that stuff, I think even before I had the online store, I had a copy of Halloween 6, the producer's cut, and I had 2 VHSs, and I dubbed copies of it, and I started selling them on eBay. I was one of those people selling
of the producer's cut.
Of the producer's cut. And I did it.
I got to talk to you about the quality of mine, sir.
Yeah.
I want that $20
well, it
back.
was what it was. But I wasn't the one that started it. Like, I just got a copy. I sold like a few. I mean, literally probably like 5 maybe. But I did that because I was a big fan of the producer's cut. Like, I was like, people have to see this. So I put it on eBay, and I get an email from this person that wants to know where I got the copy from. And I was honest. I said, look, I bought it off of eBay, and I'm just making copies of this. It was Dan Ferrand's.
Really?
It was the writer of Halloween 6.
So I actually have a story about that.
So let me finish real quick.
Sure.
So he says to me, do me a favor, please don't sell this online, whatever. So yeah. I stopped selling it, but I emailed, like in the email, I responded back to him and I said, man, I just want to tell you, I really, really enjoy this. And I really think, that somehow, some way people need to get a chance to see, your version of it, not what was released in the theater. So super nice guy. Haven't actually met him in person yet, but would love to have him at a show sometime or another.
He was at your show. He was at your show in Maryland. I'm next to him. I don't know who he is the whole weekend. He tells me his first name. Hey, what's up? You know how you exchange pleasantries. This is when the dealers were upstairs where we do the Q&As.
Yes.
He was with Mikey Perez. And I was talking to Mikey. I think you sent me Nikolai Volkov, and I was entertaining him. I was showing him card tricks and he was freaking out. He was the best.
He was the best.
But Daniel Franz was next to me, and dude, I had all weekend and I couldn't ask him one question because I didn't know who he was.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I believe I have trauma from that. Is there someone here I can talk to? Because I need some sort of counseling, because I would have asked him a million questions. He was promoting a documentary, I believe.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I do remember that now.
He was promoting a documentary.
We've had so many shows, I forget.
I know
who's been at what. Yeah, you're
Dude,
right. You're right.
When I think about that, if you really want me up there, Dave, we need Killer Clowns and Daniel Perez. We need another reunion. So yeah, that's one moment where it's such a, I don't have words. I've friended him on Facebook, and
super nice guy.
Oh my God.
Still
100%.
working, still in the business.
Yep. Still is. I'm not sure if he was behind. Was he behind the Sleepaway Camp documentary that was coming out?
I'm not sure. I kind of lost track of his nonfiction writing.
Yeah.
Like I was following his screenplays for, fiction, film treatments, but I lost track of what documentaries and stuff he's been doing.
Yeah. Another Halloween 6. Well, I mean, we're not limited to time. I sent away in the back of Fangoria or Gore Zone, one of them, I sent away $20 to get someone's script for what they thought should be the next Halloween at that time. It had Michael being sacrificed at Stonehenge, and it had the police chief. Now it's like his son is in charge, and I don't want to ruin somebody's podcast or whatever, but as someone who didn't know anything, it was amazing to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, amazing.
There's been a book out that I think that features different treatments of Halloween films that were never made. Is
there something?
I'm pretty sure that there is.
Oh, then I got to look for that.
Yeah,
because
I'm pretty sure that is. I remember I bought the one. There's a Freddy versus Jason one as well.
Oh, really?
That goes over all the variations that of what they were going to do with Freddy versus Jason. There was one, they were going to put him in a boxing ring in hell, and Adolf Hitler was going to be one of the people that was in the audience. Like, there was all kinds of crazy variations of what Freddy versus Jason was going to be.
I think dogs are attacking the door outside. So yeah, it's okay. So what else, Dave? What else do you have since we've gone completely rogue?
Yes. Here, speaking of people, like you were talking about collecting things and stuff like that, for people that are fans of like the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that Netflix put out,
okay,
and the Hellraiser that I think that was Netflix too. I forget. It was one of the streaming services. Might not have been
Hulu.
Okay,
I'm not sure. Whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. There's no physical media of either one of those two, and I don't know if there's going to be any. So for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
if you need a guy, I got a guy. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah,
I always got a guy. My stepson, my wife said something to my stepson, and my wife said to my stepson, Rob has a guy. And you know what his response was? Rob always has a guy.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, now here's two huge franchises that there's avid collectors of, and there's no physical media.
Disney Plus is the same way.
And I'll tell you, both of those movies I liked. And I didn't see the
Hellraiser, but the The Texas Chainsaw. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. So I've watched it now, I don't know, 5 times, because to me, there is something very, very organic in Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. I have another question for you. I'm going to give to you right now, and then we'll circle back. Is Texas Chainsaw Massacre the best franchise? So think about that, all the movies they have out. So Netflix buys it. I feel that the movie that buys a license, the movie was really good. It gave me everything that I need. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was
that bus scene.
Right. Just great.
Yeah. We had him at the show. Super nice guy. Mark Burnham, the new Leatherface, super nice guy.
So did you guys have a Q&A with him?
Yes.
Was that you, or did you do that?
Someone else.
I was curious if what his, because we have, you and I at the conventions have lived through many different faces of Leatherface.
Yeah, incarnations. Yes,
whether
we
it was
have.
Bernarski, whether it was Dan
Yeager.
We've been through
Gunner.
Gunner, who, man, I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to find a nicer guy. Well, it was harder, very hard to find a nicer guy. He was somebody that I really, that moment I cherish. That little bit of 45 minutes that we did. I did a few Q&As with him, actually.
Yeah, we had Gunner a few times.
And Leatherface 3 was
you mean R.A. Mihailoff, Rob?
Yes. Yeah, and then we had The Next Generation. So we've had our fair share of Leatherface. So to me, when I think about it, I'm curious as to, when you take over that role, how within the day of social media, how it's perceived. To some, some are going to say Nick Castle's Michael Myers. There's nobody else, right? That's my favorite. Whoever. It's not going to be a Dick Warlock. It's not going to be, anybody else that's put on the mask. So I'm curious in modern times, with now, not so much when, they were releasing a lot, when it was just magazine and maybe you would catch some stuff in a chat group or whatever. I'm wonder how it's perceived. I wonder if people are as positive, because I tend to think that horror fans can be pretty, they'll open their arms up for people when they see something and they really think it's magical. And I'll use magical as a word when we're dealing with these people that saw people up and stuff, but I don't know how magical it is. I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, I think when the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre recently came out, I saw both good and bad comments about it. I watched it. I thought, was it flawed? Did it have flaws? Yes.
Of course.
Does almost any movie nowadays have flaws? Yes.
It's hard to make something like that without flaws.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I thought they brought enough to it. Honestly, I liked it a lot better than some of the other installments in the series that were released in the theater. And the thing where he spins around towards the end, I think almost the final scene with the saw. What more can you ask for? That's Gunnar Hansen from part 1.
Yeah.
That's, whether you want to call it, fan service or what. He stayed within the character that Gunnar Hansen created, I thought. I'm not as avid a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan as you are. So you might, I might like it and not realize that, it didn't pay, homage to this, or it didn't follow the script for previous films or whatever,
I don't know if whenever we have
I know there was some kind of
multiple-
complaint about the mother or the person that was acting as his caretaker. I don't know whether it was supposed to be his mother or not. I forget off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But there was some kind of fan blowback on her character's relationship to him. I'm not quite remembering what the complaints were.
I think that whenever you have an installment where you have 6, 7, 8, 9 other movies, it's impossible to you have to figure out the path that the 1974 movie was on. Right. And it was groundbreaking in 74. So how do we?
This is 2000 at that time. This is 2022.
Right.
When that comes out. I mean, how do you continue the heart and soul of something from 50 years ago? And, like that's, you're putting yourself in a very tough situation, And
Yeah.
I thought they got enough of it right.
I'm with you 100%.
But I want a physical copy of it. And I think that one of the problems with this streaming is that if they're not going to release physical copies of this stuff, I mean, like you have a guy who has a guy and all that type of thing. But for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, you can buy the Leatherface from that Netflix film and a character. It's already, I think, NECA made it or one of the other companies. You can buy an action figure of that Leatherface, but you can't buy the movie.
Yeah, it's a company called Hiya Toys.
Okay.
It has not come out yet. It's
okay.
And it's cheap. It's like a $25 figure.
Yeah.
It's 1/18 scale, which is like 3 3/4, like Star Wars.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. But they have 2 versions. They have a bloody version and a non-bloody version. But so back to the question I asked is Texas Chainsaw currently the best franchise, if you had to figure that in? Because we just had Halloween's. There was a lot of complaints about Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we could have. Thank God we weren't podcasting. If you thought thank God we weren't podcasting when Halloween Ends comes out, because if you thought I was bad with the red shirt Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, holy cripe!
Yeah,
it would have been.
You can't tell me that the whole
bloodbath when
town
Halloween Ends comes out
wants to hoist this guy all through town and put him in this machine to grind him up. I actually like the second one the best. When they did the flashbacks,
I agree.
So good,
dude.
man.
I agree.
So good.
So many people don't like Halloween Kills. I thought just for the flashbacks alone, it was incredible.
Do you know why a lot of people don't like it?
No.
Because Evil Dies Tonight. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
They overdid that a touch.
Yeah,
we could have reeled it back a little.
We had that reunion down in Maryland, and Anthony Michael Hall was hilarious. He went off on, I heard everything everybody said, and he went off on all these variations of Evil Dies Tonight. Like I can't even remember everything he said, but I mean, it was hilarious, dude. But yeah, I agree. I think Evil Dies Tonight ruined the film. Not for me. I mean, I got it. It was a little bit over the top, but a little bit too much. But I really liked how I thought the brutality of Michael Myers in Halloween Kills was, that was the Michael Myers I had been waiting to see.
Mm-hmm.
The flashback, he was brutal on that. And, and James Jude Courtney as the later non-flashback Michael I thought he did a really great job. And again, another super nice guy. The guy that was Michael in the flashback was Aaron Armstrong. Super nice guy. I did we had them out at Oaks and I hosted that panel. And I'll tell you, like, that was my gift to myself. Because I would say still, I know you're leaning towards Texas Chainsaw Massacre as being the best franchise. I'm a diehard Halloween fan. I know, I know they had what was it, Resurrection. The Rob Zombie ones I almost don't even include.
Oh, don't you dare! I got the Rob Zombie Michael Myers on my arm.
Yeah.
See, and that's the mask I was actually thinking about. Not to go back to what we were talking about. That mask when part 2, when it's like kind of half on and half off, that mask is now becoming available.
Well,
so to me,
we're having Tyler Main's going to come to the show for the first time with us. He's doing a Michael Myers in costume
so sick.
photo op. Say again, now this is something with the photo ops, going back to the photo op conversation. Yeah. This is something we couldn't have if we didn't have photo ops. Yeah. You better believe I'm getting a photo op with me and Tyler Main in the outfit.
Dude, let me tell you, you still can't say that so I want you to think about, you're going to think of me when you stand next to him. You're going to think, if this guy was Michael Myers, I want to not be wherever he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's like 6'10".
Yeah,
he's huge.
Yeah,
huge.
And we're giving away trick or treats doing the 3 masks from, I guess, the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And we're giving away, one of the people that's going to be in the photo ops is going to win the set of 3 masks. So that's awesome.
That
so
is
you're going to
awesome.
come up and get yourself a photo op, get in the running.
I might do that.
But so I would say, I mean, for me, the Halloween films franchise is still my go-to.
It still is, like, so to me, it's a constant inward battle. I know a lot of people are out there probably thinking what bills to pay, or, graduating or work or whatever. And in my mind, it's every day, what's best, Halloween or Texas Chainsaw? That's what's going on in here. So because I go back and forth a lot, because I think it depends on,
there's flawed installments in both. And the ones that are flawed are really flawed,
Yeah, Texas
Leatherface
Chainsaw,
with the lipstick, like that wasn't a fan of that.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like he's
and then there was the later one that was released.
It's the pretty lady mask.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot in Next Generation. I feel like that was a lot in, and because I don't remember really seeing a lot of that in the initial remakes that they had. They had the 2 remakes, and then they even had the prequel where he's at the meatpacking plant and they close it down.
Yeah.
And I feel that movie's good. I don't really dislike. I grew up on watching Leatherface 3 on repeat. Like that's kind of like the era where I was buying VHSs and rewatching them over and over and over and over again. So to me, when he has the speak and spell, I love that because he's trying to say food, and it's cat, or people. But that's a good one. But I just was curious as to where you sit.
I got to go Halloween. Like I'm still a diehard Halloween guy.
Yeah.
As much as I love Robert Englund, I'm a diehard Halloween guy.
I think that my issue with Nightmare on Elm Street is that I went to the movies and saw like 3 and 4. And in that era, I feel like I was really like on board.
Yeah.
I was on board with it then. 3, 4. And then when 5 came out, what was that? The Demon Child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I still like 5. I kind of, when they came out with what was the one with the 3D ending? Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
I think that kind of
that wasn't bad. I thought that was a pretty good, at the time, I thought that was a pretty good ending because they modified the makeup for Robert Englund.
Yeah.
They made him look more almost like a demon rather than something that was burned. I don't know. Don't you think it's crazy that we can buy these murderers in Target? So I can go to like the Super Target. I can buy a t-shirt. I can buy underwear, socks. I can go buy some milk, maybe a snack, and then I can go buy Michael Myers.
Isn't life great?
It's great. And actually the new Michael Myers from NECA looks really good. Just putting that out there if you're a toy guy and you're
No, which one is that?
It's Kills.
Oh, okay.
It's Kills, and it looks good. I think they're making that also in a quarter size, which is like 18 inches tall. So, you can definitely get, your fix of whatever it is you want. But now I think that statues and stuff are just getting to be prices where they're just out of my league.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? Like they had this,
like you said earlier, like I've gotten, I think the most expensive Bela Lugosi item I got is like the $400 one. It's made by a company in England. I forget the name of it off the top of my head.
Still, that has to be. What kind of collector are you? And again,
I've pretty much stopped.
Let's ask the fans. So it's at Toxic Clown Rob and at MONSTER-MANIA Con on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right.
And they can respond in the comments below.
100%
for this YouTube.
Yeah. I'm curious as to that. Like what are they collecting? What's out of the price range? I start getting into I have like an Optimus Prime on pre-order that's 500.
Woof.
That's it's like 20 inches tall, looks badass. I mean, when you talk about a woman getter,
yeah, that'll do it.
Have you seen my Optimus?
It's not Prime.
It's
out of its prime. But to your point earlier, when you were saying about getting heads on Etsy and all that kind of stuff, like there's the collector out there that will buy, an item, collector's item, and not open the package. Mm-hmm. They want it sealed in the blister pack, or they want it sealed in the box or whatever.
Yeah.
So is that collector also buying the Etsy? I want to say I'm going to
let's
use
even
the word
say like
homemade,
stickers.
but whatever you want to say.
Yeah, are they buying stickers or candles? Like candles is a huge thing. Is it going to smell like Dr. Loomis's office? You know what I mean? Like there's a million things out there.
When you were talking about earlier,
the heads,
the Etsy heads and all that stuff, is the same collector that's buying, the blister pack and buying, the glow in the dark one, the silver screen one, the full color one, and the bloody one, like the 4 different versions of whatever the figure is that person also going on Etsy and buying the head and, like you were saying, like, basically putting together their own item? I don't think so.
Well, I think that then you have people that are buying an open and one that's in box, let's say. That's not me. I don't have that. I don't have that kind of bread. You know what I mean? I can't, like, even the figures that are $40, that adds up, man.
But you can buy $10, $40 figures for that Optimus Prime.
That Optimus Prime has been on my list for like 2 years. I'm buying that. It's already pre-sold out.
But we've talked in the past on the phone over the last 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How we were both not collecting anymore. And here I am. Dude, I got my Bela Lugosi.
Can I tell you what started it?
And now you're buying $400 Optimus Prime.
It was the pandemic.
Yeah.
As soon as funds became, we had expendable cash because we weren't going out to eat. We weren't buying gas. We weren't doing all these things. We weren't buying maybe new clothes because we weren't going out, all that. And then for me, that's kind of when I started, and I started very small. And I know you want to talk about Trauma, and I am a diehard, as you know, for Trauma stuff. And I started grabbing the Toxic Crusaders, and then it became Bucky O'Hare, and then it became something else, and then something else. And now the reason why I'm doing this from my wife's office is because mine is literally like, I look like I should be on an episode of Hoarders. It's bad. It's bad. But what I was going to say is that the $40 figures, even that starts to accumulate, and the days are gone of I know that a lot of people talk about autograph prices on how they used to get them for free at the table. And then it was, oh, they were only $20. And then we have this and this. But we have to understand that, like everything, it advances. So $8 figures are no more. Now it's 20. Super 7 puts out their reaction figures, which are 5 points of movement, and they want $20 a piece.
Yeah.
So it's expensive, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to stop.
See, that's like you talk about, those figures. I can't get started on that. Now, I saw, and trust me, I know I'm going to wind up with it. I shouldn't even record this because I'm going to wind up with it. But
what's it going to be?
There's a Bela Lugosi Igor figure that they make that I want to get. But I know, like, that's just going to start me down the path of, well, then I got to get, it's the Igor from Son of Frankenstein. Well, then I got to get the Frankenstein from Son of Frankenstein. And then I got to get the Frankenstein from Bride of Frankenstein. Then I got to get the, and it just, so where does it stop? So far, I've resisted getting that Bela Lugosi Igor figure.
I don't know how you have not gotten the Igor from Young Frankenstein.
I had that from Sideshow.
No, this is from Mego. It's a $20 figure or $25. It looks just like him, dude.
I had, when Sideshow came out with the Young Frankenstein figures, that's back before Monster-Mania. That's when I was doing the merchandise business. And when you got the Igor on the prototype, they had the eyes crossed. But in the factory in China, they thought that was an error, so they straightened the eyes. So when the figures actually got shipped over and received by Sideshow, Igor wasn't cross-eyed anymore. So, like, that's just a little fun trivia.
It is fun trivia, but yeah. So we were talking about Killer Clowns. I saw that Killer Clowns Mego had gotten the license and made like 3 or 4 3 figures, I think. And of course I had to have all of them. I can't just buy one. Right. That's the problem. Right. When you start down the path, right, is where do you decide, okay, guys, this is enough. It's maddening. Yes. Hey, let's jump to Trauma. I know that you had something to say about Uncle Lloyd and all his madness down there in New York.
So it turns out that YouTube has banned the Trauma channel for, quote, severe and multiple violations of community standards. Now, they were banned at least once before. They were banned in August of 2020, and then they returned a month later with a lot of people, complaining to YouTube and vouching for them. So I don't know what's happened between 2020 and 2023, but now they're banned again. They've made multiple videos saying that they've lost 50 years of their art, I guess, that they put on YouTube. I can't imagine that they don't have the original copies of the things they put on YouTube. I mean, I would hope that they would, but I mean, maybe they just released so much that they used YouTube as the storing house for it. I don't know, but so they've been banned once before. They got put back. Now they're banned again. Without a warning. They didn't even get a warning this time. They just got an email saying, you're banned because you violated, multiple severe and multiple violations of community standards. And when they asked which community standards they were, they didn't get a reply.
I think that YouTube is pretty fickle. Trauma stuff is not hard to come by. You have Trauma Now, which is their streaming service, which is like $5 a month. And you're going to get they have a pretty large library on there. Then you can go on Tubi, and Tubi has a pretty large library between that and Full Moon Pictures. Then you can go on, there's a few other streaming services that are cheap or free, like Crackle and stuff like that. And a lot of times you can find the trauma stuff on there. So I'm not really sure as to what's lost, because there's no way that they don't have the originals. There's no way.
I would think.
They're never going to. The originals though are. I know that they're redoing. I saw the other day they're making a 4K upgrade to the Toxic Crusaders, which was a short series, an animated series that they were pushing for Saturday mornings. Then they also made it a movie, which was just kind of condensed. And I know they're redoing that 4K, which looks amazing. But there's no way that and I've seen photos of what Inside Trauma looks like. They have, like almost 2 of everything that was ever put out by Trauma. So the only thing I can think of is to tell people when they're at Monster Mania, Trauma always has a table. They are in when you come in
the hallway,
and at the end of the hallway, on the left-hand side, that spot has been their spot forever. Go grab. They usually run deals. Go grab the movies that you want. If you're afraid of being censored, then grab the stuff that you want to see. And this goes back to physical media. You and I are both physical media people.
I 100% support physical media. There are people that have bought, I know what happened in the video game world. And I would imagine it's probably happened in the film industry too. There are people that have bought, video games that they can, just log in and buy. They didn't buy the physical media of it. They bought it online or whatever. And then after however many years, the company that supported it says, oh, we're not carrying this game anymore. So even though you bought it, now you can't access it. When Netflix
that happens with Vudu. You have to be very careful when you buy movies that are streaming. So they'll give a deal for like $5. I think on Vudu, I've bought What About Bob twice because it was there, then it wasn't, then it came back for sale, and I bought it again for $5. Because you're thinking, I want to watch What About Bob because it's a funny movie. At least I think so. And you want to. So that's I think what really is at the root of what we're talking about, physical media. There is nothing better than being able to put in a disc, put in a VHS tape. If you have the accommodations at home to put on the reel.
If you're like me, pop in the 8-track.
Yeah, right. Well, I got news for you, dude. It's not just you. My first car had an 8-track player. So man, Kiss sounded so good on 8-track back.
I loved how they switched over right in the middle of a song.
Yeah. But so for Trauma fans, whether you're a fan of Trauma or Full Moon, I have a large library of Full Moon stuff as well, just because a lot of times I'll come across them cheap, $5 for a disc. I'm going to spend $5 on something. In my opinion, if I watch it twice, I've gotten my $5.
Absolutely.
Right. So when Richard Band used to come to the shows, I bought the figures that he had. They had figures that were released. Then they had the dolls that were like the stunt dolls or whatever they called them, which they were really just replicas, like $200. I bought Pinhead because I thought Pinhead was the man. And I am very rabid when it comes to the physical media conversation, because I cannot stress enough that if we continue to go down this road of streaming, okay, it's fine and good, but at the end of the day, I need to have the ability to go in my office.
I agree.
And I'll have 1,000 movies and I want to watch that movie. And if I don't have it, I'm going to buy it.
Right.
Right. So I don't know why I'm collecting. It's not for anything other than just for myself.
Right.
When it comes to that. So do you collect? Is there any reason that you collect physical media? Like, are you trying to amass this large library, or is it just for you? Is it a personal thing that's part of your collection that maybe holds the closest place for you, the ability to just watch whatever you want? We don't have to worry if it's streaming somewhere. We can just put it in and watch.
Well, I'll be honest. I find myself less, and I hate to say this, but I'm being honest. I find myself less and less and less watching physical media as much as I collect it. You know, like going back to Lugosi. There's a film he did called Mark of the Vampire, which when Universal didn't bring him back as Dracula, he went to MGM and did basically the Dracula role, but in a, you know, different name. I just saw that Blu-ray is on Amazon, 50% off. It's $15. I got
yeah, because they're having deals.
Yeah.
If you're, I mean, whenever you're listening to us, they just had deals for the 4th of July, and a lot of stuff was half off.
So I got to get that. So, but along with the physical media, I think one of the downfalls of physical media is that the technical aspects of it are constantly growing. I mean, I bought Halloween. I bought it on VHS. Then they came out with an orange VHS. I bought that one.
That was a Blockbuster, wasn't it? Wasn't that a Blockbuster exclusive?
I don't know.
Because there was remember there was a Halloween where they had Halloween
where you got the bloody globe.
Oh, I had that, and I sold the globe.
Yeah,
because I sold it
leaked
quite a bit. Mine didn't. Mine was great.
Oh, mine leaked.
That was just another thing that I picked up at Suncoast Video.
Yeah,
back in the day that I had to have because it was Halloween.
But
and
I mean,
that's a good thing. That's what you're talking about. Is the constant change,
the constant upgrading of the physical media. I've got Halloween on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and you know, and next I don't think I have it on 4K, but as soon as I buy 4K, what's this, 2023 and 2025, probably 8K will be out. So then do I have to buy it again in 8K? You know, I mean, like, how many times do you have to upgrade your physical media? You know, and honestly, is it worth it? There was, again, with the Universal Monsters, I'm sorry, I'm probably beating that to death. But there was a 4K, I mean, there was a Blu-ray version of the Frankenstein films where you can actually see the appliance of the bolt.
Is it almost too clear?
Right. You're not supposed to see that. You didn't see that when you went to see that in the movie theater, but now it's on 4K. I mean, they made it crystal clear, the quality of the video, but you're losing the ambiance of it to some degree.
And that's that would bring you to, how do you prefer to watch? So to me, I'm a big fan of the crackles. So I remember going to the theater and seeing what is that theater where the blob was made?
The Colonial.
Thank you. So I go to the Colonial to see Halloween 2, and so the connection that I had there said it's got tons of crackles and burn spots. You're gonna love it. And and I did. Like, I literally remember going and being so hyped because we want to be able to capture things. There's definitely a part of when we first saw it. There's definitely something when you first saw Frankenstein, you saw it as a kid. You want to be able to relive that. There's definitely a part of experience that goes along with that as to where you were at the time, and
who you were with, what your life was like at that point.
I just loved. I love here in North Carolina. I'm real close to Raleigh, and Raleigh has an Alamo Draft House that I went to a lot before the pandemic hit, and I saw like Tammy and the T-Rex. I saw Howard the Duck. I saw
Horrible movies, you're saying?
No way. Dude, when people say Paul Walker's best movie was those Fast and Furious, I'm quick to say no, sir. His best movie was the love interest in Tammy and the T-Rex. But I to me, there's an experience that goes along with it. Like for me, we were talking about stuff. My wife gets mad because they've continued to make Ultraman since the 60s in Japan. The series, it just continues. I constantly buy the seasons that they have of Ultraman. So I have a ton of Ultraman stuff. And she goes, but you never watch it. And I go, that's because Tubi has it for me to watch. I don't have to go scrummage around in the office for it. I can watch it there. So I'll go on and I'll watch it. Like Shin Ultraman just came out, and I'm excited to see that. That was the movie I was going to break my not go to the theater because it was playing relatively local. I was going to go see that. I did not. And the movie will be on Tubi in probably, I don't know, another month. I'll buy it still because I have to have it. There's some series and some films but like you said, you buy like just constant. And I'm a big VHS guy where I went to a VHS convention, and I'll buy the VHSs of stuff that has not been brought into DVDs or Blu-rays. There's still a ton of stuff that's sitting. So yeah, I'm excited. So Dave, do you have anything else, or are we wrapping up here?
Last thing I got, I know we've gone on pretty long.
God, we just talking.
Going along with what's free on television, Pluto just launched a free Godzilla channel with Kaiju films showing all day long. I know you're a fan of that.
100%. It was on the weekend it hit. It was on the whole time, and I was like surprised at the titles that they had, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch it on. Like, I've seen them all, but yet when the ability to see them on TV through a streaming service happens, I'm just a nerd for it, man.
I can't explain that. I feel the same way. You know, if a Hammer movie comes on television, I'm thrilled to death. But yet I've got at least 2 versions of it on the shelf. I've got it on DVD, probably on Blu-ray too, and most likely on VHS. But there's still something about it, you know, being on your television set. It's like, wow, you know, you're watching it with the rest of the world at this time or something.
Because when we grew up, when the cable channel started, we kept saying, you have this, but I would love to be able to watch horror 24/7, or I would love to be able to watch Godzilla movies 24/7. So now that's available. And I think that we're still in awe of that. You know, like if you're growing up now, you have no idea what we went through, you have no idea. But I think that there's something.
I come from the time when, you know, the movie was in the theater, and then that was it. And when it left the theater, it wasn't accessible. You know, I can remember when VHSs came out. First thing I ever bought was this Psycho VHS. I bought the Psycho VHS before I actually had the VHS player. It's just like I knew I had to have that.
Yeah, I still have my copy of Dawn of the Dead that I bought when it first came out on VHS, because remember, VHSs were $100.
Yeah,
when they first hit.
Yeah, so the Psycho was $79.99.
You had Beta and VHS, and Beta was the version when I worked in TV. That was the version we were still using. And you know, because the quality is much better than VHS, because VHS quality is it's got a lot of noise to it. But once they started with VHSs now are $29.99, $24.99, $19.99, $9.99. I was in, right? I was in. So I bought.
And then your local VHS store, after they felt they had gotten the use out of a tape and they needed to make room for new stuff coming in, they'd sell the old horror stuff for like $5.
Yep. That's
You
when I
know?
bought a ton of it. I
Yeah.
bought Return of the Living Dead. I bought Leatherface 3, which was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I had Gates of Hell, and I didn't watch that very much because I don't think I was, even though I saw that in theaters, I didn't understand Italian horror until it became more accessible, like once Giallo became more of like a thing and everybody was watching it and everyone couldn't get enough of Fulci, whether it was even Cannibal Holocaust, which I can remember having a copy of that, and that was nowhere because that was one of the video nasties.
Yeah.
And I saw like that drive-in that you had done a screening at out by, was it out in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
The Mahoning?
Yes.
Yeah, they just showed Cannibal Holocaust of all movies.
Yeah.
You show that one, which to me, have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
So the soundtrack does not match the movie. The soundtrack is very like kind of free and loose, and the movie is just gross.
Yeah.
But I feel like all those cannibal movies from that era there was like I would say a good handful of them that were just Italian and gross and just nasty. But as a kid, I loved it. And I just came across.
It was the shock value. It was like Faces of Death.
That was another one. I can remember that was out for rent. And you would always be like, oh, is that available? No, someone has it.
Yeah.
Is that available? No, someone has it. I would be like, man, this has to be insane. And then you see it and you go, for real?
Yeah.
Like, this is it? It was just very hokey.
Yeah.
There was a lot in Cannibal Holocaust where I definitely can believe those people were missing and that I saw found footage.
Well, the guy got arrested, or they brought him in for questioning because they thought that it, he had to come with the actors and actresses to prove they were really alive.
You go out and buy it. Look for no clowning around. The package. They are collector's items now. Dave, I think that's going to wrap up everything. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So guys, make sure you visit monstermania.net for all the upcoming shows. Make sure you are a fan and you like the Monster Mania page because Dave is super interactive with everyone. You can follow him on Twitter at MonsterManiaCon. You can follow me at Toxic Clown Rob. So how often are we going to do this, Dave? Every other week, or like, what do you want to do?
Let's see what our schedules do. I mean, it's, in all honesty, dude, it is so good to see you.
It's great to see you. I said the same thing. I said,
yeah, I mean, we've been, what people don't know.
You're still handsome. You're still a hunk.
Well, yeah. Except I'm more of a hunk than I was before. I'm hunkier. But I mean, you and I have stayed in touch all through the, from the last podcast to this one. But I mean, I love you, man. I mean,
I love you.
We've shared some, ups and downs and personal trials and tribulations.
I need to come up when it's not Monster Mania.
Yeah,
I need to come up and hang where we can go check out a movie, and I can buy the popcorn and the drinks.
Yeah, do the popcorn trick,
the famous one. That's not famous because of me. I got news.
Well, we don't want to get kicked off of YouTube
in
already.
The theaters. It's called the old Hagan popcorn trick. But it's been great seeing you guys. To everybody that's been listening, I haven't been there, but I miss so many of you guys. Not so much to come up, but however, if the killer clown should arise, I'll be up there. I tell people that all the time. I said, give me a reason to come up. I'm not really a fan of the long ride. For me, it's like
So like 8 hours, 7 hours.
Yeah. I can get to Maryland within like 5.5. So if I'm coming, it's going to be to Maryland for sure. So you never know. You might see the old Robster showing up in October. You never know. Is it October this year?
Yeah.
Go over a couple of
October,
as we
October
close here, a couple
13th.
dates. What's the next show?
October 3rd. Well, next up we have Cherry Hill, August 4th to the 6th, Lost Boys reunion. After that, we have Hunt Valley, October 13th to the 15th. Sort of a Friday the 13th part theme. We have Corey Feldman, some Friday the 13th people, some other Lost Boys people that didn't make it to the August show.
So people can get their signature.
Yeah, complete, you know. Yeah. And then November 10th to the 12th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. Mm-hmm. We have, I think it's going to be our largest Scream reunion. We've announced, I would say probably 5 guests or more for that already, and potential
also
of another
batch of very fan friendly.
Yeah,
very fair, very fan
and again another film or film series that has been rejuvenated.
Damn, I mean, man, I forgot about that as a franchise.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. We'll have to talk about that next time.
Okay.
That's going to wrap us up, guys, for Monster Mania Radio. It was a tongue twister, but I got it out. And Dave, I love you. I appreciate
love you too, man.
All of the opportunities that you had provided me. I appreciate all of the opportunities for the fans that you provide. I know that you hear thank you a lot, and I'm going to say it again. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your friendship, man. We've stayed in contact, after the last podcast up until now, all kinds of trials and tribulations, good things, bad things. And you're one of the guys. Like, I have an inner circle that's a very limited amount of people, and you're one of the key figures in that circle. So.
I'm happy to be there. Someday you'll probably make it to my inner circle with enough luck. Guys, I hope you have a great time, and make sure that you check out monstermania.net for all of your Monster Mania information. Visit them on Facebook, visit them on Twitter at Monster Mania Con, at Toxic Clown Rob. And guys, thank you and be well.
Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to like and subscribe.